welcome to a bonus feature on the Young Athena podcast, Legacy of the Young Athenas. We are so excited today to have Dr. Christine Quade with us, also known as Christine, just depending on who she's talking to that day. A wonderful mentor to me, friend, colleague, all the things that I've had the absolute pleasure of working with for the past few years. So thank you for being here. Most importantly, you are the founder and creator of what Young Athena is today. Athena started with Athena Valley of the Sun and kind of spun off into the idea of actually bringing Young Athenas into fruition. So if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't get to do the work that I love almost every day of my life right now. So
good. Carry this
exactly. Yes, absolutely. So we're having you on partially. We just had International Women's Day, so that's really powerful. And I know that's a holiday that's near and dear to your heart as well, but mostly because we've been getting a lot of questions lately about like where Young Athena came from and like where that inspiration was. So I'd like to open the discussion today with just a conversation about what inspired you to establish Athena Valley of the Sun and like what impact you've seen it create so far. So
good. We'll go back in history. How's that?
I love this.
Way back. So I met the founder of Athena International, Martha Mertz, up in Sedona, and absolutely fell in love with her, but I could recognize that there were some similarities between her experiences and mine. And the similarities were about being dismissed, being given hard assignments with the assumption that there would be a failure, or, for example, being the only woman in the boardroom and being asked to go get the coffee.
Oof.
Oof. Yes. Stab.
Yeah.
So Martha and I had these great conversations about the way to help women in the valley become stronger in their leadership capabilities. And so we started monthly meetings, generally around one of the principles. And then it grew to, in 2017, we had our first Athena Awards with over 300 in attendance, and the Athena Award itself. So I decided to go, here's the award for Arizona. So it was Barbara Barrett, Ambassador Barbara Barrett, who then became the secretary of whatever under somebody's administration, whatever. And then that was the first award. And for that meeting, it was, we decided we would have some young women also, because somebody said, well, who's going to be the MC? And I go, we don't need an MC. We're going to get young women to be the MC. So these young women who were chosen, we paired them with the recipient. So for example, Live Authentically, there was a recipient for that, and there was a Young Athena for that. And these young women met Ambassador Barbara Barrett, and were just like, oh, I want to be that. She was an astronaut, I was like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an ambassador. I want to be this. I want to be that. And she was so gracious with them, so gracious. But that was essentially how Young Athenas how that program was born, was you get to be the MCs at our award. And these high school students standing in front of a group of 300, facilitating the award, in sections. It was just beautiful to watch. They were so cute. I could see their knees just knocking,
Oh, yeah.
Nobody else could see it. And they were just absolutely fabulous. So
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
So back up a little to the Athena Valley of the Sun, because there was a women's component to that before, right? That where you were meeting with women professionals. Yep. I think there was like some mixers or like monthly luncheons or something. Yep. So how did that kind of transition even before the award ceremonies to like how you started just being in community with all these women?
I think it started with just like, hey, come to this lunch and let's talk about X. And then we started to get a little bit more formulaic about it. The topic of this month is act courageously. So people would come to the monthly meetings. We had it at Seasons 52. We filled up one of their back rooms every month. And so we'd say, you cannot introduce yourself by what you do, but what you are in the context of the principle. So I act courageously by doing blah, blah, blah. That's how they would introduce themselves to each other. So we didn't want it to be a mixer, come and pass out your business cards and then walk away and hope everything's going to be lovely. No, it was about learning, 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 learning. So we had every table had a facilitator who would ask some questions and then they do a report out. So it just became a really juicy time and it fell apart with COVID.
Oh, that makes sense. The
It
the
was just,
post-COVID fever.
oh, well, nobody would go anywhere. Nobody would go anywhere. So we, canceled those and we moved to Zoom meetings instead. That we kind of limped along for a while there. But we were in the process of adding a couple of high schools to the Young Athena program. We already had one program for a high school out in Mesa that had been operating for 2 years. And it was just like, oh man, talk about a sucker punch.
Yeah,
Sucker
what a
punch.
bum. Well, thank goodness. I mean, I am a leadership award winner. So,
Yep.
and then Dr. Bree and I and shout out to Dr. Bree because I love her so much, got awards the same year. So that was really powerful. And
Say more about that for you. I'm interviewing you now.
oh, you are?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I want to say
That was our last awards and it was
Oh.
post-COVID.
It was post-COVID. Yeah. And we had actually a pretty good turnout for that one as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was nominated for the Illuminate Award, which is all about living authentically and learning constantly, which are two of the values that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to live authentically, but it took women like you in my life to be like, oh, you have secret sauce that you're not using, and I'm going to gently shove you out of the nest so that you can actually go inspire other women. And that's where we are today. So I think that was 20, is that 22 or 23? I always mix that up. I think it might have been 23, something like that. But yeah, so Dr. Bree and Lori have always had a good relationship through their connection to GCU. And then I really met and got to know Dr. Bree kind of through the process of actually going through the award ceremony with her. And so that was a really, really powerful experience. It was my first leadership award. It was the first time being recognized truly for just the presence that I had in leadership, but then in women's leadership, I think it was like, oh, I really can do this. And I love this work so much. And I am just so honored. It's funny because we have an award wall in my hallway at home because I have an overachiever daughter who gets certificates for everything. And so she was like, I had my leadership award in the hall and she's like, I'm going to start hanging all of my awards around. And so now it's like the centerpiece of like all of this wall full of certificates.
Great
So,
driver.
it's really powerful. So
Who was your mentee from that award?
Kayla.
Kayla.
Yeah, Kayla Eason. Yeah. And she's actually my niece and is a brilliant, like beautiful mind. She was going to U of A, she was going to be a doctor, and then she wanted to get her master's in public health, and like just a really amazing, brilliant mind that's a do-gooder in the world.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah,
See?
so I know.
You continue to pay it forward. Well done.
Exactly. Always will. Always will. It's how I'm wired. I know I always say if I can make $1 million building young women leaders, I would. I just haven't done it yet. I mean, there's still time. It's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah. There's things around the corner we can work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that note of being inspired, I know we've had many conversations together about being inspired by the Young Athenas just because of how their brain works. So what inspires you most about the young women that you see today participating in Young Athena?
I think it starts off with, I sit in the back of the room for their first meeting and I can barely hear their voice. It's so high and squeaky and so soft and so modulated and uncertain and then I watch when they come to do their graduation presentation about how the program has affected their life. And they are strong women able to stand up in front of the class, not sit behind the class, but stand in front of the class and share how the experience has changed their life. And it's like, I wish I could do a pre-intro of their voice and a post-intro of their voice, and that would say it all right there.
So true.
Right there.
Yeah. And then even speaking their truth. I think that's another piece of that too, where it's like they're not sharing, right? It's like very locked down and I can't share and I can't talk about my feelings and I can't talk about how that impacts me. And then by the end, they're like, oh, here's my opinion. And you're like, there it is. Yeah.
Yep. Bingo. They have
Yeah.
arrived. Yep. Yep.
I love that so much.
Yep.
Yeah, or
Yep.
even the like we were just saying before this call, like getting the text messages now or the Instagram messages of like, "Hey, I think I'm in values conflict. Do you have 10 minutes to connect?" And I'm like, "Of course I do." Because
Yeah.
the fact that you are 20 years old recognizing that you're in conflict with someone because of your core values is like such a ripple of emotional intelligence bliss that I I literally am like I will have these 15-minute shot in the arms values conversations for the
Yep.
rest of time, knowing that there's women out there in the world who are just becoming even more emotionally intelligent day by day. So
They want to do it. Yep.
I love that. Are there any special like moments or things that you think about when you talk about Young Athena or like that any memories that have a special place in your heart?
Lots of them. I pulled out my programs from previous awards
Oh, we love it.
that have the pictures of the Young Athenas in it. And it was just like, oh, I remember her. Oh, I remember her. Beautiful girls that are now young women in
Hmm.
their careers and making change in their life. So it was just like, wow, 2017. It still haunts me. How's that?
Yeah.
Haunts me. It haunts me because there's more to do. There is
Yeah.
more to. I have a dream. I've always had a dream that instead of having an award ceremony for women with 300 women there, that it's for young Athena, young women, and it's a meeting run by the young women. That they are the guest speakers, they are the inspirational speakers. That they tell, they come back and tell their story and inspire the next generation. There's a room of 300 of them, all young women. That's my dream.
Oh, I bet we can make that happen
I think we can. Is
because we
that,
have over 300 Young Athenas now.
should we shake hands on that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make a deal.
Yep,
Yeah, no, I would love that because, and I think we've done that in smaller sessions, like with the graduation celebration and all of that. But I
yep.
think if we made it a little bit more formal, we
Like,
could really do something really powerful with that. And I know so many I mean, even Ashley, my assistant, yeah, a 3-time alum and now a facilitator of Young
who is
Athena.
doing a beautiful job.
Right. And so then I'm looking at it like, oh, there's a lot more Ashleys out there. Like I know Lily would come back. I could name probably 10 girls that would be like, yes,
Yeah,
sign me up. So
yeah, yeah.
yes. So in your opinion, what do you think are the unique qualities that make women stand out as leaders and change makers? Or
Um,
world changers, as you call them?
well, probably I'm going to put myself in that because I rely on live authentically and advocate fiercely. Those are the two drivers for me. And I, as a young child, was told no, and it shaped my behavior massively. No, to sink down, to hide, to not call attention to myself, to not step out and be visible, etc. Until I discovered the power of yes. It's like, oh, just watch me. Just watch me.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think acting courageously or advocating fiercely is the most difficult thing for young women these days. And it's just because of what you said earlier was about the values conflict.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I have my values that came from my parents, my early teachers, and now my religion, and I'm not sure who I am. And to then move out into that space of trying to discover the me within is rather scary. It's really scary. It's like when I think about where I have experienced acting courageously, it's like, well, uh, I think about the young woman who was in a class that I taught at Grand Canyon, and her fiance was killed in a motorcycle accident during when she was in our class. And she stayed out of class for 2 weeks and then came back and would just exhibit these amazing trauma behaviors. And her class just lovingly surrounded her. And she went on to finish her dissertation. She went on to work for an organization called TAPS, which is Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, people who have survived the death of a military person. And so she brought her research skills and her presentation skills into that role and has made huge contribution. I mean, I have pictures of her with generals. It's like, I wouldn't even know how to get in a room with a general.
Right.
So it's like, when you think about these little tiny seeds that are out there, and once you watch others start to give back, it's like, well, I can let go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, and turning tragedy into triumph, right? And that's actually part of the celebrate value in Athena is like celebrating both, right? And when you can learn to turn those into teaching
yep,
moments for you
yep,
or have it inspire
yep,
you to create change,
yep.
you're
I think
unstoppable.
my sadness is that we're losing touch with the women that have gone before us.
Yeah.
So like Women's History Month, is a time to feature the elders that have made the world different. And if we read their stories and really hold their stories into the bones, these women gave an entire lifetime to give us the right to vote or the right to hold our own property or the right to have a bank account. I mean, simple things that we just take for granted now. Huh, I can go to college now. I can get a higher degree now. But for them, it was trudging around, hiding Holocaust victims, hiding slaves as they transitioned from the South to the North. I mean, women just tackled huge issues. And I think we're losing that now. We're being
Yeah.
we're being safe. We're being
Yeah.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think the what you just touched on a few minutes ago about like being told no all of those times, right? Now we're kind of like boxed in, and it's like the idea of being big and out there and making noise and being seen fully
Yeah.
with access to the internet, and how
Yeah.
many martyrs are out there and just want to be messy and talk messy about you.
Yeah.
I think it perpetuates a really big cycle of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all part of embracing your own story though, right? Like if I truly am living authentically, then that would mean also embracing everything that is the story of Kaylee Williams and
Mhm.
having no shame in who I am as an individual and how I've grown and who I am today.
Yep.
And when you have that level of ownership, it truly doesn't matter what people say. But when
Yeah.
you don't have full ownership of yourself, that's where it gets dicey. You're like, oh, if someone found out about that, or if someone found out about that, and there's like this constant hiding behind the veil because I can't be seen fully. But you're unstoppable, truthfully. Like I would say in 2024, Kaylee went through so much, so
Yeah.
much.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'm like, oh, if I was hiding behind the veil of what 2024 Kaylee went through, then I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want anybody to find out. But instead, I'm like out there, like, let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about what 2024 Kaylee went through, because then I can make your life 1% less hard than mine was.
Yep.
And then I've done a service to the greater good.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I do see that. We do have some young Athenas though that are doing some really powerful advocacy work right now, which I think is really amazing just to see how their stories have kind of fed some of that, right? Where it's like, oh, you were like even Daniela, she's amazing. And I recorded with her, but like she was one of those children who like wasn't sure if she was going to go to school because her parents didn't have papers and there was like all of this stuff. And now she's like, oh, I'm going to make it my life's mission to make it not hard for other children.
Yep.
Or how do we teach them in Spanish instead of teaching them in English when you have only ever spoken Spanish in your household? So yeah. So I think there's some world changers out there, but I think some of them still need to be inspired. And that's where,
Yep.
yeah, that's where we are.
Yep.
So, in your career, you've accomplished so much. You have multiple degrees, published books, holding incredibly impactful leadership roles. How do you like stay on top of all that, but still stay in the humble nature of, I still want to grow both personally and professionally? What does that look like for you?
Old person answer, right? I just keep thinking about the number of times early in my childhood I was told no, and I accepted that. So, no, I can't go to the Martin Luther King March in Selma, Alabama. No, I can't. I can't color a piece of paper the way I want to, which is coloring outside the lines. No, 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 no. And so my safety net shrunk a lot
Mhm.
until I discovered that it was fear that was driving me stepping out and being visible. So I made a commitment to myself that I would engage in some fear-related experience at least every other year. So like say, for example, traveling to China to teach women's leadership there for a couple of years. I had 5 trips over. Um, not understanding the language, the food was different, the accommodations were different, and how did I cope with that difference? How did I cope with swimming with the humpback whales in the middle of the ocean with only a snorkel? How do I cope with 3 days of silence with no books, no radio, no TV, no cell phone, not a thing but what rattles in my brain? It was like terror, sheer terror. How do I encounter myself for 3 days? Blah, blah. So it's like I try and think of what can I do that helps me expose myself to what my fear is and what my current coping mechanisms are, because that's what's going to tell me what my blind spot is. And when I see that part, when I can feel it, I know what to deal with.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What do you think motivates you to do that? To like actually still continue to step into those like courageous things, even when you're uncomfortable.
It's always the voice of the no. It was like when my father-in-law turned to me in a car and said, "You're not smart enough to become a lawyer." In my head, I said, "Just friggin' watch me."
Right. Underestimate me. That'll be
Come
fun.
to my graduation. Come, oh, it was just like, when somebody just gets this little eye contact that says, "You're not qualified, you're not smart enough, you're not capable enough, you're a woman, you're a girl, it's not within your wheelhouse," then it's just like, let's break that one down.
I love this.
Sometimes I can break it down big, sometimes I can't. So for example, I called attention to a hire where the person had been disciplined for racist behavior and now became a department chair.
Oh,
So now I'm being scapegoated.
oh,
So it's like, oh, okay, but did I know that going into it? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I made a conscious choice to become public about that decision, knowing that I would get payback. So it's like, okay, I need to say I'm going to let go of some certain things that I always thought I had a right to, and say, I'll find another option. And sure enough, the other options are showing up. That's what makes it really fun. It's like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm asked to redesign a course that started with the word diversity, but after the word diversity was made illegal, then I renamed it leadership, belonging, inclusion, and cultural competency.
oh,
And the first discussion question is, go identify your blind spots.
oh, so good.
Yeah.
That's
And
so
so
good.
we are not going to lean into this topic by, oh, give me your definition of diversity. No, give me your blind spot. Now let's explore it around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that self-discovery piece is truly where the change comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, door closed, door open.
Right. Now that's powerful. But I think that's what a lot of us are afraid of is the door closing, right?
Yeah, and saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be humiliated. I'll never recover." Usually around a career, people will think, I'm going to get fired. The people that I work with aren't going to work with me anymore. Hey, just let go of it. There will be something else that shows up that's bigger.
Yeah, that's so cool. Because I think a lot of people chase the safety of the dollars, right? Oh, it's like,
Yep.
oh, well, I have to do that because I need to have X amount of dollars every other Friday for whatever to fit my budget. And it's like, but
Pay for
that's
my house
playing,
payment.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
playing small though, right? And that's exactly what you're talking about, where we might not do the right thing because it's scary, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I left a huge contract where I was making plenty because they wrongfully terminated someone and it absolutely went against my core values. And I was like, I cannot sit here every single day and continue to contribute into this organization when I'm watching this code of ethics that they are founded on be broken over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I left another organization because they got a new leader and they were so reckless. And I was like, ooh, I can't watch you flounder all of these people that I personally care about and have been supporting for the last 3 years, and you just cut them down like they don't exist as humans and that they're just like cogs in a wheel. So I love this because I think those experiences and being able to speak to those, it's opened so many doors just because now I'm a do-gooder, right? And not that I wasn't a do-gooder before, but I realized like doing the good means more to me than actually participating to collect the money. And that's truly where Culture Queen, my other podcast, came into play, was because I was talking about HR and like how binding it is. And it's like, oh, and I'm like, no, human resources was supposed to be a resource for the humans. And then somehow we got typecasted into like only compliance and following the rules and anti-litigation and da 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 da. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like at the end of the day, if you're not supporting your humans through their life while they're trying to have a job, we're doing it wrong. Stop it. So, oh,
So I have
it's so
a
good.
question for you. You had
Okay.
you had the courage to walk away twice.
Mhm.
Do you feel that that walking away was a significant enough statement that the system started to pay attention to itself?
No.
Then, see, the message needs to be that people understand that we can't change the system when we walk away.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, okay, how can I at least have a parting statement, a parting something or other
Yeah.
that lives on, you know?
Yeah.
And I will bet you anything that the people you helped have also had the courage after watching you to walk away.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. And I think the way that I participated in the last one that I walked away from was advocating for that person
Mhm.
and also signing up to be a witness in the case because it
Yeah.
is an open litigation. And I was like, oh, I'll testify to this all day long because I witnessed the very abrasive, abusive behavior that existed within the culture. And as a consultant, I think that that's a lot of voice for me because I'm not just in one organization, I'm in multi organizations. So right is right and wrong is wrong. I've built lots of HR departments and I'm watching them squander it all. So yeah, but I think you're right. I was thinking when I left, I worked for a pretty renowned pizza franchise organization here for a long time, and it was not a good culture. And when I left, I asked for an exit interview with the CEO because I wanted her to recognize the culture that she had created just by existing how she existed every time she came into our stores. And that was a really powerful conversation. And I think it did create a lot of good change, but it was definitely what you're saying, that one step above of like, no, this is unfair and it's creates chaos for these store managers to clean up every single time you behave this way. So let me bring this into light because there's not another person on the planet who's going to tell you.
Yep.
And she actually like got tears in her eyes at our conversation and was incredibly appreciative because no one else had ever told her that. And there is a leadership style that aligns with what she was doing. And so I was able to like bring that to the table and be like, there's science here about the toxic culture you're creating just by existing how you exist when you come in.
Yep.
And so it was really powerful and definitely created good change. So I love that point because I think we do sometimes just walk away and like try to put it behind us because sometimes
Yep.
it's so traumatic, right? And you're just like, bleh, I
Yeah.
can't even deal with it anymore. But then the walk away is not as powerful, which is, I think it's so funny that you're bringing this up. This is opening up a blind spot for me, for real, because
And-
I will chase down anyone who is not doing the right thing. And I will have conversations on behalf of other people all day long. But I
Yeah.
often don't have conversations on behalf of myself.
Ah,
Yeah. Where I'm
well,
like,
well done.
yeah. So I'm like,
Yep.
oh, okay, I see you. This is why you're such an incredible mentor and friend to me because we have conversations sometimes and I'm like, oh, such a light bulb moment. Thank you.
Dang. Oh, dang. Yeah.
Yes. As Dr. Quade would say, it's so yummy. It's so
Yes,
yummy.
it is very so yummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this person that you had the conversation with who started to tear up, you showed her, you identified her blind spot, and then it becomes up to her if she wants to deal with it or not. But at least she's aware of it and she will start to see how the ripple effect occurs.
Yeah.
So nice job. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Well,
have that hard, difficult conversation.
yeah, it was really powerful too. It was nerve-wracking because I was very young. One, I was really young, but I had grown up in business. So I'm like, oh, I've watched this movie a lot. I had my first job at 18. At this point, I was probably just shy of 30. I'm like, oh, I've been 10 years in the workforce. Like, I've had really good leaders and really crappy ones. And
Yeah.
I know I'm aware enough to know the difference. So,
Yeah.
on that topic, because you're such a powerful influence in my life, like you truly, I think, for the first time in a long time, introduced me to myself. I was really boxed in from a career perspective until I started like exploring all that is Athena. Again, my certificate right there. And you were like, oh, there's a lot here and you need to use it. And I was like, oh, there is like, I don't know, because I've always been like, Kaylee, get in that box, or Kaylee, get in that box, or and I can operate in that, but I never was like expansive. So tell me about some of like the personal or professional relationships that you had that kind of pushed you to be expansive.
Oh, that's a good, juicy question. Huh. Um, I would say that really significant experience in my life was when I'm a member of National Training Laboratories, and NTL is a member-owned organization, so you have to be sponsored in by a member, and they carefully balance the intake cohort between white and other, male and female, etc. And I was sponsored by two of the most powerful women I have ever known in my life. And like they don't dare say no. And yet when I show up and I get engaged in these conversations about what is it like to be the only, and then say, all of you white people go stand over here in this corner and just stand there and observe what's going on in the rest of the room. You white people.
Right.
It's like nobody had ever said that to me before. You white people, because I am a white woman of privilege.
Yeah.
And I had to swallow that down and recognize that there were people that had absolutely no way of having that privilege ever,
Yeah.
ever in their life because of the color of their skin or their sex. And so then I took a 3-year workshop with a couple named John and Joyce Weir, Weir. And every time we came together 4 times a year for 3 years. We had to speak percept language. So it's everything is a part of me. I'm in the angering part of me.
Okay.
Oh, and then drop down to because of, it's because of I'm encountering the father part of me or the mother part of me, or, going after what that deeper is. But have to say to a partner, say to a group, I'm in the angering part of myself. Instead of you're making me mad, I had to say I'm angering myself. I had to take ownership of it. And so it was the most life-changing 3 years in my whole life. Life-changing.
I bet.
It was like, man, I would wake up from a dream and I would say, okay, wait a second. I'm in the walking part of me, to the door part of me, to the opening part of me. I go, oh, criminy, there it is. I
Yeah.
got the issue, so it just helped really unleash everything without judgment, without feeling shamed.
Mhm.
It's a part of me.
Yeah.
And I will never be done. I will never, I mean, at 77, I can say I will never be done.
Right.
I'm still working a part of me.
Oh, I love this though, because it gives permission to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll drop into that percept language and I'll have somebody look at me really strange. I'm in the X part of me and they go, what? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Um, I've never even heard it said that way, but I'm definitely gonna go research that and figure it out because that's part of the work that I do in Reiki and in yoga, holding space for women is
Yeah.
there's so much a void
Mhm.
of that emotional space. But if you just recognize that it's a part of you that sometimes you have to drop into and then you can come back out of it, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Many times women have adopted their role.
Hmm.
I'm a mother, daughter, whatever. I'm a partner, I'm a wife, I'm a whatever, and that's the role they hold, and they won't not go outside of that to figure out what is the gift within it.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like that silver lining conversation that a lot of people don't pay attention to. Like, okay, cool, but what's the silver lining here? Because there
Yeah.
always is one. And what am
Yeah.
I learning and how is that going to impact me and what am I going to use it for to benefit the future of humanity?
This is
Oh,
why I go out for my little self-discovery fear retreats, if you will.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Was your tattoo one of those fear things?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this.
My
Yeah.
little whales, yeah. I was the thought of going into an ocean, it's like not an aquarium. This is the deep ocean, 8 hours away from land,
Yeah.
and getting off this little boat and sliding into the water with these huge humpback whales swimming around me. And when one baby came up to me about this close, I sucked in the most salt water ever because that little baby was 4 times bigger than me.
Yeah.
And it was a newborn.
Oh,
It was a newborn baby humpback whale.
so
And its
precious.
mother was hovering right behind it,
Yeah.
who bigger than a school bus,
Yeah.
and they can come from floor of the ocean airborne in 2 seconds. How strong they are. And
Wow.
yet they knew exactly where I was all the time. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get thrown off the tail of the whale. That's why I put
Yeah.
that's how I'm going to die. They'll just get flipped out into the ocean. They won't even have to recover my body. That's a great burial.
Right?
Those whales had that sensory sense of where everything was. And I thought, wow, that is awareness right there.
Yeah.
How do you sense? Because we can sense where people are not making it safe. We can sense that.
Mhm.
Walking down a street, I don't feel safe. Certain kinds of streets, I don't feel safe. Other streets, I feel safe. And we can just feel it in our bones. But it's like, can we feel when somebody is wanting to do harm? No, we can't sense that yet.
Mm.
Wait for the act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think that depends on the level of energetic perspective you had.
Yeah.
If you have, or perception, energetic perception. And I think, but most people do. They rely on the data or they talk themselves out of
Yeah.
the feeling experience. And they're like, oh well, no, they're a good person. I've been to 7 dinners with them. I'm gonna use that cognitive data to create a different experience than what I'm actually having in my
Yeah.
body. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say because my body tells me so much, but I'm also incredibly empathic. So like I feel everything even when I don't want to feel it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm like driving. I was in a class and I was like, oh, who in here has tooth pain? Because I literally was like feeling it in my body. And I was like, who has tooth pain? And then they were like, oh, I do. They were getting like a root canal the next day, and I was like, oh, okay. Acknowledge, accept, and clear it because I was like, I don't get tooth pain. So it's overly specific,
Yeah.
but that's a gift of mine.
I would say so.
That clear sentience problem.
That box that, yep.
Yeah. So, all right. So, with that, I'll just close this out with the final question for the sake of time. But well, obviously, we already know that we're gonna have a young women led symposium, if you will. So other than that, like what are your hopes or dreams or things that you foresee with Athena Valley of the Sun or things that you would love to still bring forward?
Yeah.
Because you're definitely a part of it. I know Lori and I have kind of taken a bunch of the pieces, but like that visionary in you is still there. So what's up in there that
So I
needs
want you to imagine 300 young women sitting in the GCU basketball stadium on the floor, round circle tables, but up in the audience are all of the women that have been involved in Athena in the past,
Oh,
listening to the speeches of the young Athenas, not the speeches of their generation, but the speeches of the young Athenas and what they're encountering and what's important to them. That will be the magnum change.
oh, okay. Okay, I'm in. I'm
Okay.
in. Also, Ashley loves planning events, so we might
Oh,
have a problem.
I mean,
Because once she listens to this, she's gonna be like, "Oh, sign me up."
I would just love to be able to send out an email saying, you as an early founder person in Athena Valley of the Sun are invited back to see what's happened to how the next generation is taking the torch.
Oh, powerful.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
We should call it the torch ceremony.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. I'm writing that down so I don't forget it. Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. And the whole thing will be about like setting a fire for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only people that get the microphone are the youngs. That's it.
Yeah. Do I count as young?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not sure where I fit because I'm almost 40 and I'm so excited about it. But
I don't think the Young Athenas will let you walk away from that, you know.
oh,
so-
that's true too. That's true too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your inspiration and always just being such a powerhouse and creative force in my life.
It was fun. I got
Yeah.
to show my bracelets. So.
Well, I know I love your bracelets. Yeah, and I will definitely forward this out to you. And so you'll be able to share it if you want to with other people in your wonderful world. But for the most part, we get a lot of questions about how Athena kind of came about. And we're always like, oh, Dr. Quade. And everyone's like, who is that? It's like you're this
Yeah.
mystical force behind the veil. And I'm like, no, she's the real deal. Let me introduce you to her. So
Yeah.
with that, just love you so much and appreciate you. Always will. You've always been such an inspiration to me, and I'm just so honored to be able to carry on the torch that you started.
So I want you to repeat those words about you.
I don't even know what I said. Thank you for being such a powerhouse. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for carrying the torch. And
Carrying the torch. Yeah.
thank you, Kaylee, for all of that.
Yeah, it's truly an honor. It truly is. This is the work that gives me life every day.
Yeah.
So
I can tell. It makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll get on a call with you to talk about values conflicts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well done, Kaylee. You're shaking the container in the right way.